Yeah, like Chad said, we are the largest group in the world. We have actually programs all over the world. I learned last week about one's taking place in South America, one's taking place in the Middle East, in Jordan, where a lot of women aren't, they've been not educated well and not encouraged to own their own businesses, but now they are, and the Queen of Jordan is really all about JA, so that's very exciting for us. But in the United States, we have 4 million students who have that are served each year by through JA classes. This breaks down to about 176,000 classrooms, and nationally, there's 178,000 volunteers. Now in Pueblo, we're right around 350 classes, and when I say Pueblo, our district is actually 10 counties. So we go straight down 25, down to New Mexico, and then right out to the Kansas border. And with that, I only have about 140 volunteers. So obviously I have a lot more classes to fill than an equal amount of volunteers. So we end up with some volunteers who pick up a whole lot of slack, and I love them for it, but it isn't, yes, I mean, they love it, they don't mind, but we want more people involved. And like Chad said, there's a few ways to use your time in the classrooms. You can take part in a JA in a day. I have several coming up in the next couple of months, and I did have one at Bessemer recently, which was great. And that happens, you get there before the kids do, about 7:30, give you breakfast, give you a little intro, and then prior to that day, you've been given your materials, you have gone over everything, you're prepared, you've met with the teacher, so might be still some butterflies, but for the most part, you're ready to go. You go into the classroom, and you can team teach if you'd like. If you're nervous about going in by yourself, you're welcome to take a partner or someone from your work, maybe a spouse or a family member, and you are in the classroom with the kids and the teacher's always there, until about noon or 12:30, and you're teaching 5 lessons. Now I did this for the first time at Bessemer, and it was great. I had 3rd graders, and the program's called Our City. So we started out, they give you this great big map that you can put on the floor, and for mine it said, it taught the kids about zones in cities. And so they learned where the industrial zone is, and where the hospital zone is, and where the school zone is, and the business area, and all that. So then they got, in the kit, there's contained little pop-up cardboard buildings that I gave out to them, colored them in, put their name on it, and then depending upon what the business was, like post office or hospital, they got down on the floor and they put them down in the different zones. So it was very interactive, it kept their attention. Then we started talking about city planners, which some people don't really know what city planners do. It actually is, it's a growing profession. Lots of cities now want a planner to figure out where they're going to put new business and how they're going to, lay down roads and everything. I happen to have several friends who are city planners in different cities, so I was able to take my life experiences of my friends, and I had taken some classes as well, and tell them about it. And for a lot of these kids, they just don't know about these things. Their parents don't necessarily know about different professions. They see what their parents do, and they see what a teacher does. And I came from a town where there really wasn't a whole lot going on. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania. It was about 2,000 people. There were some doctors because you went to the doctor. There were some hairdressers because you got your hair done. And there were your teachers. And that was the depth of my knowledge of occupations. And it wasn't until I got into middle school and high school when they started pushing you to realize you got to figure out what you're going to do after you get out of here. So I shadowed a professor of music. That was my thing when I was in high school. So I was ready to go on and do that. But that person gave me the opportunity to understand more about what professions are out there. And so, I worked very hard, and I did get into, a music school, and things happen and change along the way. And, but these are all experiences in my life that I can give, that information I can give out to a child. They happen to, JA's done lots and lots of studies. That's one of the awesome things about Junior Achievement, is that they have a crew of people doing different surveys of JA alumni. They have just dropout rate studies, all sorts of things going on that back up why it's so important for community members to get involved in the schools. And I think everyone here has, seen what's been going on in 60 and more 60 than 70. 70 I've been reading is doing quite well, and but we're both towns that are, very much together. Some of you work in Pueblo, but maybe live out here. Whatever the case is, we all need to kind of take care of each other. So I've been, talking to a lot of groups, and I feel like I need to, just touch on the importance of how the community members need to get involved with the schools and really need to talk with the kids about their hopes and aspirations. And, a mentor is something that I don't think people have mentors anymore, really. It doesn't seem like it. Unfortunately, people are just so far removed. And I know you say you work, 80 hours a week, and a lot of people are strapped for time. Obviously, businesses have cut back. People are taking on 2 or 3 jobs they didn't have to do before because businesses have scaled back so far. But we're coming back out of that, and a lot of business people and companies are finding more and more the importance of sending their people into the community to do good work. It reflects well on the company, and it really ends up being good for the employee. They find happiness in helping the community, especially kids. So, like I said, we do encourage, we have 3 pillars that we focus on, which is workforce readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. We have programs for kindergarten through 12th grade. The kindergarten through 5th grade classes are obviously a little bit easier. They're a little bit shorter. Aside from the JA in a day, you can go and into a school for 5 weeks for about half an hour to 45 minutes at a time. You can do this whenever you and the teacher can work this out. And again, all your materials are with you. And every time I tell somebody that it does happen, when you leave the classroom after that first time, you tell the kids, I'll be back next Tuesday at 11:30. And by golly, when you get back there, they are so excited to see you. And I have talked to so many JA alum who remember that program in their schools. It just stands out years and years later, because they're teaching them just little things that really mean a lot in life, like saving money and figuring out how to write a check, and where does that money come from that's in your ATM card? All those little things really stick with a kid that, parents don't often, just focus on, or they take it for granted that they're going to the grocery store and they're just swiping a card, and kids don't necessarily know where that's coming from. It's all very much taken for granted. So we're breaking it down, bringing it to them, opening it up, and hoping that when they become adults, they're not going to make the mistakes that we've seen, happen in the last few years with people getting in over their heads with loans and credit card debt. All that sort of stuff is a detriment, obviously, to society, and we can't, we need to educate through community help. So that's what we're doing at JA. In District 70 in Pueblo West, I have several elementary school classes that I still need volunteers for this year. A lot out at Sierra Vista, Desert Sage, those are 2 big ones. It has been difficult getting into the high schools and middle schools, unfortunately, and this is a nationwide problem. So many high schools and middle schools are so focused on these tests and trying to get the kids to just graduate. And what we're trying to do as we visit the schools and talk to administrators is that we have this free program that somebody else is going to teach. It's all there for you, and we're bringing in somebody that's new to the kids that they're more likely to listen to than their teacher who is there every single day. So we're hoping in the next few years, I'm new, I've been here 6 months with this job, so we're hoping in the next couple of years we will get into the high schools and we will be able to significantly make a difference in the dropout rate, in getting ready for college, in finding a job. This year, in fact, it's the 10th annual Pueblo Youth Futures Fair. It's going to take place up at CSU. We're hoping for about 500 high school kids to come through, mostly 10th and 11th graders, but 9th and 12th are invited as well. And we're asking business folks to man a table, have their resume there, and just be open to conversation with the students so they can ask them, oh, you're an architect. How did you get to be an architect? What did you do in high school to get ready for college to do that? Where did you go to college? What do I need to do? You know, there's so many questions that a kid can ask people who've already been through it. And it makes that incredibly daunting idea of leaving high school a little bit easier to digest. It's all about communication. We need community members in schools helping out. It's the only way things are going to get better, and it's the only way that we're going to be able to see this country continue to grow with innovation and skills and all the things that people need to make society stable. So, does anyone have any questions? Has anyone done JA before? Have they been a volunteer? Yeah?
I was a teacher for 11 years, and I had it in my classroom for about 6 of them. So
yeah, and you had a good experience?
Yeah, it was awesome. Kids loved it.
Yeah. Was it elementary or?
High school.
High school?
It was economics.
Great. Yeah.
I was a JA kid.
There you go. Yeah.
Whether that's good or bad.
We're debating that right now. Did that work or not?
That's where I got my 60-hour work ethic.
There you go, yeah. Now, the JA kids have grown up to be business people. We have lots of documentation from folks that were JA kids, and now they own their own business. They employ like 400 people. These are things that you hope happen. Everybody talks about business leaving America and all these things, but if you don't teach kids how to do it, I mean, what do you expect? So.
What volunteers you said for elementary? Like you said, you're looking for. Like,
yeah, I have
area?
at least in Pueblo West, I've got about a dozen classes that still need to be filled, and they range from K through 5.
And what are the classes?
Kindergarten starts out with a program called Ourselves. You're teaching very basic things with little storybooks that each of the kids get, and you're teaching about how they can make choices. And then the next lesson, you kind of get into, Sally is working for her aunt at the fair this summer, so she's working. So you're getting that across. And then she has a birthday party to go to for a friend. She wants to buy a gift, so she needs to save some money, and she needs to spend it properly. And then she's going to save a little bit more, just to have it in a piggy bank for a rainy day. So those are the little lessons through storytelling. It's all mapped out for you for kindergarten. Then it goes on to our families, our community, our city, our region, our nation. Those are the K through 5. So it's expanding every time and bringing in a little something different, but always remaining true to you need to save money, you need to work hard, and you need to be innovative in your thinking with business practices. So like with the 3rd grade class, we talked about cities, zones, and city planners, and newspapers, how important they are. That was hilarious. I had a kid, I was telling them, what do you find in a newspaper? And I had one with me, and I'm like, the sports. And one kid said, obituaries. I'm like, yes, that's right. But I said, but you learn about the news, and you learn about, what's going on. And one kid raised her hand, like, wasn't that what TV news is for? I was like, yes. And then I had to think, because you're on your toes. You got to think. You want to relay something positive and make them think about it. So I said, well, when you watch the television and you watch the news, that news is based in Colorado Springs. Now, that's great, but we have a newspaper in Pueblo, and that's employing people in our town, and it's not necessarily employing people from Pueblo in Colorado Springs. So just those little things, and just then they had to figure out how to actually write a little news story. So it was the who, what, when, where, why. 4th grade, the other region, and then 5th grade, they actually get into like resume building, and one of my friends who owns a small business was teaching 5th grade, and he, it wasn't necessarily in the curriculum, but he told them, when you go out and find your first job, when you're 16 or whatever, when you go in to fill out that application, don't dress like a slob, make sure you ask for the manager, have your resume with your application, don't just fill out the application, present yourself in a way that you are proud and that's gonna make that manager remember you, even if it's your first job at a fast food place or whatever it may be. It's very important. And he was absolutely right. I used to, when I first moved here, which wasn't that long ago, it was during the bottom out of the economy, I couldn't find a job. So I was working at Barnes & Noble, and I would see people come in all the time, high school to out of college, with like flannel pants on and slippers. Really? Are you coming in to fill out a job application like that? And they were. And it's just unreal. Those are the kind of things you need to just tell kids. You would never imagine that they wouldn't know that. They totally don't unless you tell them. And that's why we need people like you, good community-minded people to go in and just tell these little gems of information to them. And it really stick. And I feel like, if we get it going all across the board in Pueblo West, in the area, in 10 years, 15 years, you could see a real change in the community. Businesses could be more stable. We could have more, different kinds of businesses. It could be really great, and that's I think what everybody really hopes for. So I kind of went off on a tangent. Sorry. If anyone's interested, I have my cards. I can, it's very small, easy training to get you ready to go into the classroom, and I really hope that we can get some of you involved.
Cool. Thank you very much. Here's our Breakfast Club, Pueblo West Rotary 4-way test mug for you. Thank you so much. Anybody have anything else today going on? Alrighty then. I appreciate everyone that put down some pledges for the Paul Harris, and think about the district assembly if you haven't signed up, because I know a few of you'd really benefit a lot from it, and as I said, there's probably about 5 of us that are going as it is, so. Correct, yeah, so think about it, and then if you do decide, we're going to be doing some figuring and stuff, but let me know on the pledges if you decide you want to put, make more or not, okay? Everyone have a great day, and yeah, no. I'm just thinking, actually, since Joe is here, I just thought, Joe, would you lead us? All right,
Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Everyone have a great day.
All right. See you later.